This Guy's Garage. Like and subscribe.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. To Mr. Yeo, what's the structure of your business as it relates to your counterpart on the other side of the desk there? How many employees do you have?
Yeah, Mr. Chair and Mr. Member, thank you very much for the question. So I started the business in 2001.
Not looking for what year it was founded. Looking for the structure, the org chart. If you could provide that in verbal terms in under 30 seconds.
Absolutely. So in 2001, I actually went to Craddock's when I first won my first contract out of the PSAB. And we formed a business together, and they now, we basically hold, in a corporate structure, we have 2 full-time employees with Dalian, okay? But we have a shared services model that helps both companies basically, thrive as to what we're doing today.
Thank you. In a minute, we learned you have 2 employees. Dalian and Cordix were paid a combined $4.3 million. Is that correct for the ArriveCan program?
Approximately, yes.
And what value did Canadians receive for that $4.3 million?
Yeah. So we received approximately 20 task authorizations to deliver IT professional services in software development, testing, project management, and technology architecture and cybersecurity.
Sir, did your employees do that, or did you subcontract that work out?
We work with IT consultants, and they're subcontractors.
Okay. Do you have ongoing business with GC Strategies?
No, they are a subcontractor that we have worked with occasionally.
Was Bottler a subcontractor of yours?
No.
Are all of your subcontractors, do they all have appropriate security clearance?
Absolutely.
Okay. So GC Strategies had the appropriate security clearance always to see the material that they worked on?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Did GC Strategies always have the appropriate security clearance for the projects that they were working on?
Contractors that appear on our contracts must have security duplicated by the company holding the contract. As such, anybody being put forward on a task authorization to any government department, including CBSA, has to have a duplication of their security clearance by that firm.
Is that
Therefore,
true?
we held the security clearance for those 3 contractors on that TA.
So did everyone at Bottler have the appropriate security clearance for the work that they did?
That's what I'm just communicating to you. The three people the 3 consultants that were on that TA all had security clearance.
Okay. The folks at Bottler said that they did not have the appropriate security clearance for the work that they were contracted to do.
Mr. Chair, and to the member, we processed their clearances ourselves and granted their security clearance through our security group by CISD. Okay. In addition, they were approved by CBSA's internal screening.
So you also applied the same vetting to their CVs that included their work history. That's correct?
Those CVs were provided by GC Strategies, and unfortunately, some of the information on those CVs was incorrect.
Isn't that part of the value add that you're telling us that Canadians received for the $4.3 million? Isn't that what we paid you for?
I think the value add was what CBSA was trying to accomplish with bringing Bottler AI in to help them build an AI technology pilot.
Okay, so if Bottler built it and CBSA used it, and your job was to make sure that everyone was qualified for the work, delivered the work, and was security cleared to do the work, did you make sure all those things were done?
The consultants that we provide through our task authorizations are under the direct supervision and control of Government of Canada employees. We do not get involved in scoping the work and providing any of the deliverables in the task authorization or the list of responsibilities for these consultants.
With all due respect, we know that the information that, with respect to the CVs for Bottler, was fraudulent, that fraud occurred, and on your letterhead, you passed it on to the government. And you were serving as this middleman, a very expensive $4.3 million clearinghouse for this work. So you cashed your check, and in exchange, Canadians didn't get the value that they should have. That billing that was done was based on fraudulent information. And so who is responsible for that? How is it that you're able to continue to do business with the government of Canada when, in fact, we know that the billings, that this work was predicated on fraud? So it's incredibly concerning. It would be very helpful for this committee to have a list of all of the subcontractors that you do business with, because this is a very gray area. We don't know who those people are. Would you be willing to provide a list of all of your subcontractors for Government of Canada contracts to this committee?
Bottler AI was not part of ArriveCan or.
Sir, my question is,
$4.3 million.
Sir, will you provide the list of your subcontractors to the committee?
For what purpose, Chair?
It's a request from one of our members, and it's a simple yes or no, Mr. Wood. I apologize, but I can't add context to it.
Mr. Chair, on what contract? On what project?
Could you be more specific, Mr. Barrett, then we have to move on?
Well, I think that it would be important for the Standing Committee of Government Operations for the House of Commons to know everyone that you're using as a subcontractor, because there was fraud on this contract. Canadians should know who your subs are, because this is essential for integrity. That's our role here is to provide that to Canadians. Please. So we're looking for the list of your subcontractors so that we can find out if all of your representations to the government are true.
Mr. Chair and to the member, we have 15,000 consultants in our database right now, and 475 of them are doing work in the federal government right now.
I think.
Are you sure they're all who they say they are?
We're going to have to move on, Mr. Barrett. Sorry.
Maybe a point of order.
No,
Chair,
briefly, Mr. Dennis, then we're going to move on, please.
Is there agreement that the committee orders the production of that information?
No, I don't see an agreement.
Liberals saying no. Okay.
And in regards to Bottler specifically, you had, to clarify, you had no relations with Bottler.
No.
It was regards to a pilot, nothing around ArriveCan, and any amounts outstanding between Bottler and GC Strategies was amongst themselves. You had no opportunity to oversee what Bottler was doing?
And correct. And Mr. Chair and to the member, Bottler was paid for the work they delivered.
Right, thank you. Is RCMP investigating you right now?
No. We have, not that I'm aware of, I have had no discussions with the RCMP.
So RCMP is not investigating anything in regard to ArriveCan at this point, as far as you know?
I can't speak for RCMP as far as I know.
No, that's true. I apologize for that. In respect to the processes of which is under the allegations that you're facing, how do you respond to that?
Yeah, as Mr. Chair, I will respond. And first, I'd like to clarify an earlier comment by a member that the Bottler project was $4.3 million. It's completely incorrect. It was a $140,000 contract.
And your engagement with GC Strategies, do you have any? You have none right now?
No, we're not working with GC Strategies right now on anything.
So they're not subcontracting from you at this point, ever?
Okay. They're not.
And the issues going forward, given the circumstances that you're facing now, have you changed the way you operate?
Yeah, I was explaining that earlier. We do take it seriously. These audits that we go through by the International Standards Organization are intense, and our processes, the audits are on our processes, and we are audited every year, and we are currently certified under the International Standards Organization. In addition to that, part of that is a quality management system, and we are examining what went wrong and how we can ensure it doesn't happen again.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Yao, you represent a two-person company that receives contracts and then subcontracts, and you've received millions of dollars from taxpayers for the process of receiving contracts and then subcontracting. So what would you say you do here?
Chair and honorable member, you speak about what do I do, but I have to go back to the beginning. The amount of effort
I think you do. I'm not looking for prevarication or distraction. What is it that you do for the government of Canada in exchange for millions of dollars?
I don't know if it's exchanged for millions of dollars because there's so much overhead to running a bricks and mortars business here in Ottawa, expenses relating to Indigenous employees that I have, Indigenous consultants that we pay.
You don't have employees. There's two of you who are partners.
I do. Yeah, and they're Indigenous.
You have two employees. That's what you told the committee earlier.
Yes,
okay.
That's correct.
What is it that you do?
What is it that I do? I manage.
What does your company do?
Well, it's a kind of so you're asking two things there, right? The aspect of what I do is an executive on the board of directors for Dalian, and looking at governance and the way that the company is run on a daily basis. And I've earned that by building the business over 23 years. So,
you're a company with two people. Right, so I appreciate that you have to pay office expenses and you have to manage your partner's activities, I suppose. But what do you do? What does your company do? What value does it produce? What is it that you do?
Our value add really is in the area of project management and contracts management as it relates to federal government contracting. So
the federal government gives you a contract. You give the contract to somebody else. And you're telling me that the value you add, you subcontract to someone else. And you're telling me that the value you add is in the process of project management. So what does that mean? What do you do? Because we've been told earlier that the subcontractor deals directly with the federal government in terms of many of the details of it. So what do you do?
On a daily basis, that's true. The subcontractor does deal with the task authorization or the technical authority on a daily basis. But in behind all of that is all of the plurality of, whether it's security clearances and billing and ensuring that the actual contract, we're the prime on the contract. So we also ultimately are responsible for the overarching contract management of everything that goes on.
Well, I understand that you're the prime on the contract, which means that you collect the money. But if the federal government is dealing directly with the subcontractors, and if there have been various problems along the way that have been identified in terms of the results anyways, I'll ask it again. What do these words you're saying actually mean? What is it that you do here?
Well, I will pass this off to Colin.
I'm actually interested in what you do first, Mr. Yao.
I have answered that, and I am an executive on the board of directors for Dalian, and I maintain all of the governance as it relates to the PSAB and make sure that the company is absolutely in line, in step with everything that relates to procurement and government contracting within the federal government.
But you don't actually make anything or produce anything, right? So you're making sure all of these things, but fundamentally
we're providing a service. But
what is that service? Like if Stephanie gives me $100 to paint her fence, and then I hire Larry for $50 to paint the fence, what have I done? I've just received money and then hired someone else to do the same thing. And you can call that subcontracting, you can call that project management if you want, but I haven't done anything, right? Like you don't actually do anything for the money you receive, right?
There is a lot that we do, actually. As a matter of fact, we spend hours and days and weeks, replying to RFPs and replying to creating bid responses that cost thousands and thousands of dollars that some we win and some we lose. So, I mean, there's so much, background activity that goes on in the contracting world. It's not just a matter of, doing A and B and getting C, collecting money for C. It's not that simple. There's a lot of background activity that happens.
This is so fascinating. There's a lot of room to save money.
Gentlemen, I'm sorry, that is our time.